and he launched a boycott against Laura Ingraham on Fox News because she said something that hurt his feelings about his college admissions. And finally, Fox News came out and defended their host, which is great. They should be doing this. So in a statement, Fox News co-president Jack Abernathy wrote, quote, "We cannot and will not allow voices to be censored by agenda-driven intimidation efforts. We look forward to having Laura Ingraham back hosting her program next Monday when she returns from spring vacation with her children." Good for Fox. The reality is advertisers will come back to Laura's show. Not that many advertisers dropped her show in the first place, and it wasn't her biggest advertisers that dropped her show to start. But it's pretty amazing that it had gone this far in the first place. On Saturday, as we played yesterday, David Hogg appeared on CNN and called Ingraham a bully after attempting to destroy her business for suggesting that he was whiny about his college admissions. Pretty amazing sequence of events. But again, demonstrative of the fact that when it comes to the left's agenda, reality and proportionality have nothing to do with anything. Now, speaking of reality and proportionality, well, Laura Ingraham's going to survive all of this. The media will get over it until the next time there's ginned up outrage and they decide to finish off some sort of conservative host. But speaking of proportionality and lack thereof, the students over at Parkland are very upset. The reason they are upset now is because one of the security measures that's being taken into consideration, now being implemented at Parkland, at the Parkland School at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, is clear backpacks for the kids. And the kids are very upset about this. So they're all tweeting out all of this stuff about why the clear backpacks are so terrible. And there's a certain irony to a lot of the gun control students suggesting their rights are being taken away because they have to carry a clear backpack. So Lauren Hogg, who is David's brother and also goes to the high school, she said, "My new backpack is almost as transparent as the NRA's agenda. I feel so safe now. As much as I appreciate the effort, we as a country need to focus on the real issue instead of turning our schools into prisons. Hashtag clear backpacks, hashtag march for our lives." So one quick note here. Why is it that my rights have to be taken away? You're essentially turning my entire gun safe into a clear backpack and then cleaning it out because something bad happened that has nothing to do with me or my gun ownership. Sarah Chadwick is another student over there. She says, "Tomorrow we will have to go through security checkpoints and be given clear backpacks. My school is starting to feel like a prison." Well, your school a few moments ago was a shooting gallery for an evil human being. So it seems to me that if you are suggesting that hundreds of millions of Americans be deprived of their firearms, this is a better solution. I don't think it's a great solution by any stretch of the imagination, but the outsized outrage about having to carry around a clear backpack, you don't have a right to a backpack that is non-transparent in school. Do I think this is a great idea, by the way? No. Do I think this is going to do anything? No. Do I think this is moral panic and overblown? Absolutely. Do I think, however, that it is less intrusive of American rights for you to carry a clear backpack to a high school where you have no actual right to privacy? Or do I think it's more of an intrusion on rights for you to remove full-scale Second Amendment rights? I'm going to go the latter. Delaney Tarr's another student over there, and she tweets out, "Starting off the last quarter of senior year right with a good old violation of privacy." Again, if you're going to complain about violations of privacy in the same sentence where you suggest that the government should come into my house and remove my rifle, there's a bit of irony there. That's all I'm suggesting. Lex Michael, another student there. "Interestingly enough, when I requested more government regulation, I said on guns, not on my backpacks. Thanks for trying to speak for me, though." So again, quick question. You don't have a right to your backpack. You don't have a right to a non-transparent backpack. And as I say once again, do I think this is a smart security idea? No, I think it's a pretty stupid security idea. I think that the idea that you're going to be able to view everything through a transparent backpack is not even true. You can always hide a gun behind a book or inside a book if you wanted to, presumably. But the basic logic that's being pushed here is that rights are being violated when high school students don't have a right to privacy in their backpacks, but no rights are being violated when they call for a vast removal of protected weaponry under the Second Amendment from a bunch of strangers who have done nothing to actually create all of this problem. It's just an amazing thing. It didn't stop there. There are even more of these. Jacqueline Corin wrote, "Thousands of clear backpacks were donated to MSD. It's a shame because they should have been given to a school that actually needs the supplies. But since we're stuck with them, I decided to make the most of the situation and decorate." Okay, well, good for you. So you put March for Our Lives on your backpack. It's just the lack of proportionality here is completely incredible. John Barnett, another student, said, "If our school board seriously believes that clear backpacks will be a key factor in keeping students safe, then every elementary, middle, and high school student should have one. School shootings can happen anywhere, so why are we only getting these backpacks? We need real change." Okay, this, I think, is my favorite tweet. This is my favorite tweet because the suggestion now is that if clear backpacks were to make a school safe, then everybody should have one. Well, that's pretty much what we're saying about law-abiding citizens and guns. Right? That we think that law-abiding citizens ought to have guns to keep schools safe, and therefore pretty much everybody should have one. So the logic completely escapes them They make the argument with regard to clear backpacks, but not with regard to guns. Pretty incredible. And the stupid arguments didn't stop there. So last night I got into another flame war with Piers Morgan on Twitter. For those who don't know, I did a pretty famous debate with Piers Morgan on gun control after the Sandy Hook shootings in January 2013 on his program. It ended poorly for him. His show it dropped dramatically in the ratings after I appeared on his show. He ended up losing his show about a year later. And yesterday he decided to go at it with me again on the Second Amendment. And I will just say it didn't go well for him. During that debate, one of the things that I did is I brought a copy of the Constitution, a pocket Constitution, and I handed it to Piers Morgan. And he is still rankling about this some 5 years later. It's now 2018, and he's still angry about all of this. And so somebody sort of tweaked him about it yesterday on Twitter, suggesting that hopefully he kept that silly little book. He called the Constitution a silly little book when I handed it to him on the air. Somebody tweeted at him, hopefully you kept that silly little book Ben Shapiro gave you on set. It would come in handy now. And Piers responded by saying, what was silly about it was the size, like its owner. I prefer my copies of the Constitution and my political pundits to be substantial. So this is Piers' go-to, is that he's a tall fellow, which, all right. And so I tweeted back at him, I also like my constitutions like I like my pundits, Americans, and concerned with protecting rights rather than infringing upon them. And it seemed to me, honestly, like he was overcompensating for a rather small set of inalienable rights. So, he's overcompensating. Beyond that, I think that it is quite possible that he has a constitution inferiority complex. He may be overcompensating for some things. My favorite part of the back and forth with Piers Morgan yesterday on Twitter is at one point I said that he was interested in violating inalienable rights, and Piers Morgan wrote back, "It's unalienable. Try reading your Declaration of Independence." Well, as I said to Piers Morgan, I have read it. Its central contention is that we don't actually have to take advice on the nature of our rights from British douchebags like Piers Morgan. That's actually pretty much the basis of the Declaration of Independence. So, well done, Piers Morgan. By the way, just side historical note, Piers, do not start trying to cite American history to me. Okay, Thomas Jefferson wrote in the original draft of the Declaration of Independence, inalienable. It's written on the Jefferson Memorial, inalienable, not unalienable. Abraham Lincoln cited it as inalienable. Bill Clinton cited it as inalienable. Barack Obama cited it as inalienable. But apparently, Piers Morgan is now the grammar police when he's not attempting to take away everybody's guns. So pretty amazing stuff from the gun control lobby. I do think that one of the reasons that this whole debate burns out every single time is because it devolves into this sort of back and forth that has nothing to do with the issues at large. There's no actual real discussion of the things that we can do to help. And Marco Rubio was willing to come to the table, the senator from Florida. He was willing to come to the table with Ben Nelson, try to push gun violence restraining orders, which would be a policy that would suggest that if you were mentally ill in some way, that friends, family could go to a judge and attempt to prevent you from obtaining weapons for the duration of time that they could prove that you were mentally ill, there was evidence that you were mentally ill. All of that being the case, the entire left decided to ignore all of that. The entire left decided to ignore the real efforts to do something here and instead to focus on yelling at each other about gun control and why you're morally inferior if you don't embrace their version of gun control. The entire left is in a bit of a pickle here because their message is just not popular with Americans. And this is causing a serious problem. This is creating a serious problem for so many folks on the left who are having to run particularly in purple districts. So you can see the split in the Democratic Party as it begins to break free, particularly on the Second Amendment. So Alabama's new senator, Doug Jones, he is a very blue senator in a very red state. And even he is not willing to go so far as to talk about the more extreme gun measures the left is attempting to push.
I'm not sure I can go that far just yet, George. We've got to get done what I think can be done right now. Let's reach across and within our own party to do those things that we can do. And that to me is where I want to focus. I really don't believe that a gun ban is feasible right now. And I think that there are things that can be done that we need to look at. And I think I outlined most of those in my speech on the floor last week.
So even the left is deeply split on these issues, which is why they would rather, instead of attempting to come to some sort of agreement about how to solve the issue, they'd rather castigate everyone who disagrees with them as a bad person.